Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of the Wilds War Cry. My name is Stephen Wilds. I want to talk to you a little bit about this week in wrestling, except that there is kind of a main point that I want to focus on, and this week that is TNA, and I am not very happy with that particular company. But just to knock a few other things out of the way first, Raw was alright. Had some great dominance from the Shield. The big thing to come out of Raw is Daniel Bryan's future. And the thing is that if he really is going to be out 6 to 8 weeks, I cannot fault the company for stripping him of the belt or doing something with it. That's a lot to ask of them. They could leave it on him. They have done that for other champions in the past. But I'm not even really sure I can stand behind that decision if they did that. We will know more after his actual surgery. So there's that. SmackDown this week, honestly, I watched it and I remember a lot of what happened, but there was nothing really worth mentioning. It was decent, but it wasn't good enough or bad enough for me to really make any notes about. It was just kind of there this week. I did think it was kind of interesting that we got a rematch of the exact same six-man match involving the Wyatts, Cena, and the Usos, and then they just put a little story at the end of this one. And now they want you to watch SmackDown to see what Cena's response is. We can all probably guess what Cena's response is, but I guess this is them trying to get people to watch their other shows, and I, again, can't really blame them for that. But other than my main topic, the real kind of standout this week was NXT. I didn't mention this last week, but a lot of people got released from NXT. Mason Ryan was probably the biggest one since he had actually been on WWE television before. But the person I'll probably miss the most was Oliver Gray. I thought he had a lot of potential. And I think either he will return to WWE at a later date, or we will see him in another company where he will also shine. But that remains to be seen. The continued Divas tournament for NXT is very enjoyable. Not just because I like tournaments. I've said that 100 times. I love tournaments, but it's also had some good action, and it feels like it's really building to someone special. My early pick is going to be Charlotte. She is looking very dominant right now, and I have a feeling that she's going to get that belt eventually, either through this tournament or something else. Since they went with the tournament idea, kind of for the Divas, they ended up doing kind of a fun battle royal, which had a great ending. I love the idea of the three men. That last part of that was very good. And I want to see what they do with that. I can't wait for next week. It looks like they're about to bring up some new talent since they fired a couple of people who in NXT had an on-screen presence for NXT. They'll probably be bringing up a couple of new guys, and there are some guys I'm interested to see how they work. So, NXT continues to be one of the fun parts of my week. On to TNA. All right, where to begin? Actually, I'm going to begin with the actual show of TNA Impact this week and talk about what I did and did not like. What I did like was that opening tag match, the ladder match between the Wolves and the Bromans. That was a lot of fun. I think they used Zema Ion very well in that match, though. When I saw him take that bump, my first thought was, did you not just have surgery about a year ago? So, it was a lot of fun, and I understand his surgery was, I don't think it was injury related from what I remember, but I don't know why. It kind of scared me for a second. But I like Zema Ion. I think he's very talented. The Wolves did a great job in this. I'm glad they retained. I think they should hold on to it for a little bit. And I actually would not mind if their feud with the Bromans went on for a couple more months, as long as they can keep it interesting. And if they keep having matches like this, I think they can do that. Jesse Cotters has really improved his drop kick. Like, that was a almost beautiful drop kick he did. I can't remember which one of the Wolves he hit on the ladder, but it was great. The Menagerie finally debuted. We finally know what the whole deal is with Nux, and I kept having oddities flashbacks from the Attitude Era. Maybe that's just me. I don't know. I'm interested to see the other people wrestle. I do like Rebel. She's not just eye candy, but she looks like she is someone who is talented or could be trained to be very talented. I don't know if she'll even wrestle, though. And the look for the whole thing is fine. I want to see them actually do something with it, and I'm very concerned about that. But it was a little bit of an underwhelming debut. I guess I was expecting more. Maybe I built it up more in my mind. I had to suffer through another crappy Willow segment. Pretty much any segment that Willow's in, it just kind of stinks up the room. And even him getting his ass kicked really did not help in this. I don't know. I have lost 90% of my interest in Jeff Hardy. He's a talented wrestler, but I just don't care. When he comes out now, I'm just waiting for the segment to be over. What I really did not like at the end of this episode, spoiler alert, was MVP's heel turn. I thought it was lame. And I thought it was lame not because it was a heel turn for him, but because it felt like they built up his character in one direction for so long, and there was no in between. There was nothing that even really made any sense. Maybe if they had done a couple more months, 9 months, I'm sorry, if they had done a couple more episodes, at least, of Eric Young arguing with MVP about wanting to wrestle and what was right in anything. And I know you can argue, man, that would have tipped you off too much, but it wasn't like it was entertaining when he turned. I was a little surprised. I had managed to avoid any of the spoilers before I watched it, but it just... ugh. TNA, back there in the Hogan era for TNA, they had a really bad problem, and it's calmed down a lot, but for a while there were just too many face heel turns in the company. A lot of them were very quick, and it was almost like they were like, oh, well, we can't really decide where we want this character. And this kind of felt like one of those face heel turns where it was just out of nowhere. And unfortunately, my question that makes this a little bit worse is, where do you go from here? We had the interesting kind of fight with him with MVP earlier with Rude. So does this mean that Rude, since they now suspended him storyline wise, does this mean he's going to turn face? I know he's been heel for a really long time, but when you face heel turn a lot of people at the same time, it feels weird. It comes across as unnatural. And maybe they'll keep the numbers kind of low on how they do this, but also with MVP being a heel now, does this mean he's actually going to join up with Dixie, or are they going to create some weird authority-like entity? That just doesn't sound appealing to me. And I like MVP as a wrestler, and I don't mind when he's a heel. I think the turn was really poorly done and just fell flat. Really, TNA has never been known for its great writing or anything, but over the last few years, it's really been relying more on its writing and on its storytelling than on just the in-ring action. And I don't think this didn't work, guys. You need to go back to the drawing board with this, or figure out a way to make MVP's heel turn better. And I don't know how you're going to do that, honestly. I have a few ideas. I was kind of mulling around. But the more I actually thought about it, the angrier it made me. Okay, so with that, put that to the side. TNA is having a lot of problems off screen. And the first one of those problems is obviously, it seems like pretty much for the last 2 or 3 weeks, we keep hearing about people leaving the company, wrestlers leaving the company. And what that is from what I'm reading, TNA is forcing people to re-sign for a lot less money. Well, most of these guys that are leaving are people who are not only very talented, but have put in a lot of time. More recently, Kaz and I believe Sean Hernandez just left, who I enjoy both of those guys. And you got anyone who reads my stuff or listens to this knows I loved Christopher Daniels and Kazarian, who Christopher Daniels also left recently. And then Sabin, who's been with the company quite a while, and Sabin is a very talented wrestler. And wherever he ends up, I hope they do something with him, because he's an amazing talent. But other than that, other than just people leaving, there's also the story that broke about the crew that sets up the ring crew and stage crew and everything, threatening to walk. And apparently the demands were met and the money was, done. Something, depending on which site you read or who you listened to, apparently the money didn't come to them at the time it was supposed to. And so they threatened to walk, but that was taken care of. However, that is a really bad sign. And I would say if it happened once, whatever. It's the thing. People will forget it. But I have heard rumors that stuff like that has been happening. Like apparently they're having some problems with areas for filming certain shows. I know they were having problems a while back, but apparently those are still going on. And now it's coming out too. I was just reading not that long ago that the company that represents them also hasn't signed a new deal with Spike TV. Now that doesn't mean that's not definitely a bad thing yet. However, one of the things that TNA had going for it, actually two, but I'll get to the other one in a second, was that they had a good thing going with Spike TV. And having, that almost guaranteed television working relationship really helped them. If you are a company that doesn't have a weekly television show or some type of television show in the wrestling business, you're just not on a certain level. And TNA has always been number 2 to WWE. Now there's a very large gap in between them, but they've always been number 2. But without that television deal, I don't know. Things just look really bad for TNA right now. A while back, I heard someone say, and I believed them at the time, because the company, Dixie Carter's family, Panda Electric or whatever, they have a lot of money. And someone said a while back that if they didn't want TNA to stop, it would just keep going. But every business person eventually gets to a point where you just cannot keep funneling money into something that's not going to make a certain amount of profit or is causing too much stress or whatever. And apparently Dixie Carter has been very stressed as of late with the company. I don't want anything to happen to TNA. And I'm not a TNA hater, and I'm also not a giant. There are times I've been a bigger TNA fan, or been enjoying the TNA product more than what I was seeing on WWE. But the truth is, they are the number 2. I didn't think they were going to go anywhere, but if things continue the way they are, that it could happen. They're cutting these people. They're having to cut money. They're having problems. One of their biggest investors is, or shareholders, I'm sorry, is opening another company. And that, I think I've talked about this before, that has to say something, even if it's not really a big deal. Even if you believe Jeff Jarrett at his word that it's not, going to be a problem. It doesn't, he can do both. It says a lot. So my question this week for everybody is just, what do you think's going on in TNA? What do you think's going to happen? I know there are a lot of TNA haters out there, and that's okay. Everybody's got to have their haters. Haters are how you know you're doing at least something right. And TNA has been doing something right for a really long time, but this week they've disappointed me a lot. So I kind of want to know what you guys think about that. Tell me what you think about MVP's heel turn. If you want to comment on this, you can do so on the video, or you can go to my Twitter account, which is @StephenWilds. If you have any questions, comments, or anything else, feel free to contact me. And until next time, this has been the Wilds War Cry.